Hey everybody, this is Rob Gauthier. Welcome to the Patreon exclusive content. Hey everybody, this is Rob Gauthier and Kalina Angell. Welcome back to our exclusive monthly in-depth poll. Your voice has spoken and the word is out. We settled on a voting basis. The majority winner, we believe it was 4-3, and you guys chose to talk about the event. Now this is a different interpretation by everyone. There are other channelers who are talking about this event. There are people like Corey Good who are talking about the event, and now it's time for Aridif to weigh in on the event. You guys chose it. Now you get it. We love you guys. Thank you so much for supporting us through this Patreon energy, and we love you guys so much. We're going to make sure to get as much exclusive content to you this month and every month at Patreon. Thank you guys. We love you. Greetings to all, this is Aridif, that is A-R-I-D-I-F, and this is its spell. We understand there are many queries about the idea, the event. We will express these in one moment, but before diving into that one concept, we wish to express two concepts of our own. The first, above and beyond all things expressed within this day, to know, to feel, and to perceive that you are loved is of the utmost importance in our perspective. Secondly, we also wish to express to you our own greatest excitement of the co-creation in this moment. Now, we move forward towards the event. Now, this is very different depending upon which person is speaking about the event. It is very different when other entities express their own perspective of the event. So we have a very wide spectrum of energy ranging from the concept that all humans are moving from third to fourth density at a natural evolutional pace, all the way to within a matter of days or moments, one shift will occur that will ascend all beings directly into fourth density. Waking up in your morning or in your midday, a vibrational shift so large that all of you will start having deep amounts of telepathy. All of you will start being able to utilize your psychic abilities, and all of you will be able to utilize your own connection to your guides through channeled state or telepathic states. The reason for this widened spectrum of ideas about the one topic comes, just as all things in your planetary consciousness come in multiple varieties, different angles, and separate perspectives. First of all, the concept of Ascension is not one that is a new concept. It is something that was taught even by the oldest channelers within the human collective consciousness, those who connected after the Anunnaki's first engagement, but before the connection processing to the midst of what you would call the Hindu text wars. These entities were, just as Rob is, connecting in a channeled state telepathically to the entities in their own oversouls and all their soul groups. Knowing this, it is utilized information coming into the human consciousness also must indicate, just as channeling is in this day, for any entity that might filter themselves through their own beliefs, or might filter another energy in the same breath or in the same light as their own beliefs. Information is only as accurate as the energy in which transmits this concept. So, what we mean by this is, for example, if you are looking at an entity who believes that the world will end in the year of 2012, and that being so strongly believes it, that it is a part of their ever fiber within their consciousness, that entity will not be able to channel any information that is contradictory if they are not open to the idea of its own possibility. Now, we use another example. For instance, Rob, in his own belief systems, he is open to quite many possibilities and probabilities. So if we were to tell him in the year of 2011 that the world would end in 2012, but he did not believe it deeply. Perhaps that energy would be able to still come through in that way. So, the concept is, when you are co-creating with another energy or entity, you must take two things into account: the overall vibration and belief systems incorporated in the channel themselves, and also the entity and their own desire to communicate. There are many entities in the universal consciousness that are of a type 2 variety. Those beings incorporate a mix of different information. Some of them are ranging in what we would call the middle of the type 2 spectrum all the way to the malevolent, and those entities can connect to human consciousness. Humans can channel those energies. So those entities that are in that spectrum are also having their own desire to speak from their own perspective. Let us say that there is a race, for example, that co-creates with humanity, that desires for them to think that they are limited, to think that there is an appropriate energy towards the pushing down of those that they feel are less than themselves. That energy can be transmitted through a human channel. Many of you who have explored channeling thoroughly have heard this concept. You hear of division. You hear that this one race or another race is doing negative and bad things. You hear many channelers speak of the Jewish entities or Jewish people, and also the reptilian energy, and that there is no such thing as a good entity in those groups. But, as you are all aware, just as in racism in the earliest Earth, these entities can transmit that signal to an entity who is already receptive to segregation, to drive that wedge even further between human collective consciousness. That is what we would say the indicator is to an entity who is not aligned, or a being who is channeling who is not aligned, is if the information is divisive, if the information promotes segregation and separation, then it is not coming from a place of divine energy. We also understand, many of you know the belief system about any entity that carries their consciousness in a physical body is not within 100% connection to their higher fractalized consciousness. Now, when you look at your own human experience, you see that approximately, for those of you who are the most expanded, are within 20 to 25% of their higher fractalized consciousness integrated into their physical body. Now imagine a 6th density being with 20 times the amount of consciousness that the human consciousness has, and has integrated approximately 80 to 95% of their higher fractalized consciousness. So now you see the difference in those two energies. But even the highest energy, even the wisest being within the physical universe, still has 10% to integrate, or 5% to integrate. This means that although they are searching for that last remnant of the higher fractalized consciousness, it has not fully integrated. So they are not in 100% alignment with that source and format of divine presence and energy. That being said, the majority of those who speak of this event are coming through an energy that is segregative or divisionaries in construct and scope. When you look at entities who are expressing that only those chosen beings, only those that have worked so strongly to get their consciousness in alignment and expand themselves will experience a shift, then you also know that these entities are not coming from a place of oneness or connection. If you hear an entity express that all individuals will or will not do something, then that is coming from a place of divisionary consciousness. We have expressed multiple times in multiple varieties. Once we receive the query of the being, they will ask us about consciousness and ascension, and we have told many things to many of you as your own personal exchanges are at hand. But each one of you individually will go through your own experience. As all of you know, each and every one of you create your own reality so wholly that every experience within that co-created collective life that you are going through is yours and yours alone. Co-creation can occur and does occur frequently, but even in that co-creation you are still dealing with the version of the entity across from you that you are desiring to have in your experience the most. When you are exchanging the ideas of what can happen in the future, time is also extremely fluid. For instance, there are entities who have expressed a query of what percentage of integration their higher fractalized consciousness is. We will tell them approximately 14%. By the end of them speaking with us, understanding themselves, gaining access to the information of their higher fractalized consciousness through the reflections of ourselves co-creating with him, that 14% goes to 16%. So even in that short 30-minute period, they have shifted their consciousness a great deal. 2% does not seem a great deal, but when you are dealing with consciousness, 2% is equivalent to oceans of consciousness within you. You look at all of the energies as you have co-created with others, and you understand the nature of your own ability to create and co-create. This is no different as Ascension pertains. Look at your own concept. I am desiring to go to full density in this lifetime. Yes, there is a possibility for you to do this. Yes, there is a possibility for you to believe, to put in the excitement, time, and energy into the experience so wholeheartedly that you can shift. But most humans are not aware they are already in full density. There is no shift required to be in full density. In your marker year of 2012, in the solstice region of the 21st of December, your energy shifted from third to fourth density. In doing this, much of you have expanded rapidly and quickly, and that is why you have felt the accelerated pace of your creations. Knowing this, you also can know that any moment where you start tapping in to your own telepathy, your own intuition, your own expansive mindset, that you are touching in the beginning of your fourth density journey. So as you begin that process of full density, you experience all those parts. But many entities want to have the fast track of consciousness. They want to be in full density, even though only one of their lifetimes were involved in the time period in which to switch. And again, it can happen, but for the majority of you, it will be at a slower pace than overnight and instantly. The instantaneous fashion of manifesting your own ascensional process only comes when your life has been working towards a rapid shift or a great shift, or you are open to that experience. There are many entities that you desire to co-create that experience with, and if collectively all of you focus and have the same openness towards that energy, it can come to fruition. But when entities have expressed previously that all humans will either go or not go, that is not within alignment with the way we perceive, because all of you are already there. All of you already lived in this physical incarnation to be the very first, the wayfarers, the first on land, the first entities who have pioneered and trailblazed that energy for themselves. Now, for density itself, at its fullest peak, there will be instant manifestations, or instant in your own perspective manifestations. There will be the ability to change physical matter around you. But this is at the end of full density. Most of you, in your experience, have either tapped the very first part of your full density experience, or who are in the full density experience and projecting yourself back into the third because of your belief systems and energy. So as you go forward, understand, yes, there are shifts in the collective consciousness. The collective consciousness that you chose to be in. Saying that there can be as many shifts of consciousness in the collective that you desire to be in as you desire. There is also a great deal of energy going around, a timetable that has been expressed. There is an expression that within 1,000 years human consciousness in its entirety will be in full density. Some believe that time frame is shortened to 50 to 100 years from this moment. In the collective you are all in, there is partial truth to this as we perceive it. Although all things are truth, we use these terms for your better understanding. The partial energy of truth in that is that most of you who are here listening in this moment, who have studied the teachers who are teaching this, are ready and excited to shift your vibration into a more full density centered earth. You desire that collective consciousness around you, so you are making an expression of shorter pathways, but there still must be that work involved in order for you to go through. And we do not mean you must work for what you get. We do not mean you must struggle to achieve. What we mean, you must go through the journey. Evolution of consciousness is how the entirety of this universal rules dictate. So when you are part of the universal collective, you must go through the engagement of stepping through each process in its own time and in its own place. Once you achieve your full density, there is much less restriction on how frequently you can jump in your abilities and connections. Let us use, for instance, a race that has recently entered the fifth density consciousness. Those beings were at great levels of love, great levels of understanding themselves. Instant manifestation, or seemingly instant manifestation, was already occurring. At the next level, there were so many different entities in this collective going at different paces that they created an entire race amongst each co-creator. 3 entities who were at the same level would create a world full of the entities that were exactly at the same level that they were. Then you have expressions of the co-created collective consciousness within that race, where they were shifting in and out of different vibrations, depending upon what entity they desired to co-create with, or what group they desired to co-create with, instantaneously manifesting their own different versions of vibration in alignment with the energies that they are co-creating with. That is the version of reality that all of you can go through, that all of you can achieve. There needs not be a lifetime of resistance, but if you look at your own experience, 5 years previously, 10 years previously, 25 years previously, all of you have grown exponentially. That version of growth can continue throughout your collective consciousness and your own life personally. We wish to express why it is this way. Why are the mechanics that each one of us create upon our own validity, will, desire, and belief systems? We have expressed to you as the human collective, you carry that energy called the twin soul. This energy is a rapid succession of probabilities and possibilities for one fractal consciousness laid out, and the one that is within the free will alignment of the being in the oversoul fractal, and that experience that they desire, the twin soul accommodates by bringing that experience over to the twin soul for that 1/1,000,000th of a second experience. It is almost as the most professional card dealer that you know times 100 trillion. They are dealing cards out so quickly and so fastly, to the pace of your own shifts of vibration, that it will always give you what you call upon. It will always give you that energy. Now we use the example of those who you co-create with. Now there are 2 decks of cards staring at one another. The one in the center is always the one being handed over to the oversoul next. two fractal consciousnesses sitting in their oversoul, going through a vibrational shift. If both of them are in the same alignment, then the very middle card will be displayed for both entities. If one entity perceives the person across from them as a different vibration of what they truly are, then they have now won 4 or 5 cards to the right or left of the one in the center of the person they are co-creating with. So the middle version is the version that that person gets to experience, but the 4th card over is the one that you will co-create with. Each one of you land your own desires and excitement exactly where they need to be. We will now take questions for this concept.
Thank you so much, Aridif.
Yes.
So I just want to reiterate something that you said. We are already 4th density, 5th dimensional beings officially now, correct?
Yes, quite so.
And we're right now at a point where we tend to kind of recreate 3rd dimensional realities sometimes. Is that correct also?
Yes, quite so also.
Wonderful. Okay, so I wanted to talk about the concept that's been going around in our collective. This talk about the splitting of 2 earths, as some people call it. And some people are saying that if we're not careful to raise our vibrations, we can miss the ascension boat, so to speak. So there's talk that there's going to be a world, I guess you could say it's more of a dense 3D world. There might be war, there might be almost an apocalyptic experience in some descriptions. Like I said, this is coming from a wide gamut of sources, and I'm not pointing out any one, but just kind of lumping it all together as the collective that's out there.
Yes.
Is it true that there is a concept of 2 or more Earths, like a 4th density, 5th dimensional Earth? Of course, I assume we're technically already in this Earth if we're already 5th density or 4th density beings. Can you talk more about this topic? What is it about these 2 or more Earths, and what it is that people are talking about, and what psychics and others are seeing from your point of view?
Yes, first of all, the 2 versions of Earth. Yes, we understand this, and yes, we can agree with this concept to a degree. First of all, there is no 3rd density dense version. There is only the 4th density type 1 experience or the 4th density type 2. Those are both energies, but there are not only 2 of them. There are 2 infinite versions of Earth. One of them going on the type 1 society style, the other on the type 2. And for those of you who are not aware of the difference between type 1 and type 2, most simply, those in the type 1 archetype are those that do perceive oneness at the full degree. They also are willing only to co-create with those that do not interfere with free will, co-create with those not infringing upon their free will. And also, those entities are ones who see that oneness so strongly that they understand anything done to another being is also doing it to themselves. Anyone giving to another being is also giving to themselves, because of the interconnectedness that we are. Type 2 versions, those are a wide spectrum, those who co-create from a very benevolent and loving place, but they do not fully see that connection. They express, for example, we love humans so greatly, we will step in the way of this energy to prevent them from harming themselves. That is a type 2 benevolent being. The mid-range are those who only care about what is going on with themselves and can show affection and love towards another race, another person, or another individual consciousness. Then there are those that are malevolent, strictly only for themselves or for the entities that they are in alignment with. For example, those who are on the benevolent side, that are type 2, are many Pleaidian consciousnesses that are humanoid in nature. Many of those in the mid-range size are those that are considered grey beings. Those that are on the malevolent side are those that are considered Alpha Draconian reptilian consciousness, or the ancient draconians, ancient reptilians, many different names given to these entities. Now that you understand that Type 1 and Type 2 archetype, imagine two versions of Earth propelling out towards the fourth density experience. Those who experience the fourth density in the Type 1 will learn their alignment, they will connect with others, there will be no divisions whatsoever, and you will be one collective consciousness with access to each other's minds, hearts, and energies. Those in the Type 2 can be versions of Earth that are also very similar to that concept, loving, connected, telepathy, very high, able to access thoughts and emotions, but it can also go all of the way into the versions of Earth that you would perceive warfaring, warmongering, co-creations of intergalactic wars. Those are the two versions that most humans are speaking of. Now, there is, of course, the third option of those that stay in that version of Earth, but those are actually those who co-create in a Type 2 variety of fourth density, just as all of you, each and every one of you humans, in this moment are doing. Even those who are open and excited and happy and live in the fourth density a good deal of the time are still coming back into third density at least once in a while. That means that all of you are already in that version, but the version of yourself choosing the infinite amounts of both of those tracks will be able to dictate which version you desire. Those of you who are starting to integrate oneness, you do not see the difference between yourselves and other religions. You do not see the difference between yourself and those of other colors. You do not see the difference between yourself and those who have opposing mindsets. You see that oneness and see it or feel it to a higher degree than ever before. You're going in that version of Type 1 energy. Those of you who stay in that feeling of disconnection, of judgment, of discerning energies as negative, or perhaps as you would see it separated, that energy is going more so to the style of Type 2 energy. So understanding that that does exist, that is the two different pathways of fourth density consciousness, all of you can understand and be a part of either one you desire. Now what we can also tell you is even if you live to be 5,000 years of age, and on your 4,999th year you have been living all of the other years in your Type 2 version, you can change to that Type 1 pathway, but it will not be a quick jump over. It is just as any other things in life. And this is where we see the concept of the diverging Earths coming. This is what it means when you spend so long of vibration in this part and you have already went so far on your journey, it is harder to go back to that energy. That is what most of the Alpha Draconian beings who are trying to find their oneness are going through. But their version is split so widely, so far, that it takes a bit longer to access the more Type 1 version of energy. As a collective consciousness, all of you will work together with one another. All of you will connect. That is part of the fourth density journey. Even if there are different sects or different, perhaps as you would call it, divisions of entities upon your earth, there will still be connections with the ones within your sect or within your division. Those energies will feel, as fourth density energies do feel, intimate, deep connections from heart to heart.
That's amazing. I mean, you literally answered the next question that I was going to answer. I'm going to read it anyway, just anything you wanted to repoint out, reiterate, or expand upon. My question was going to be, does ascension mean only being of light, love, and connection? For instance, draconians are 6 density beings. So is the split more about 2 or more different fourth density Earths supporting each being's co-creations?
Yes, in fact, All of you already having ascended means that all of you are already projecting yourself into one version of that energy or another. The Alpha Draconian consciousness is so far advanced within their own dimension of energy, their own purpose of energy, and their own experience of evolution, that they are creating a false cycle in order to stay out of going back into non-physical energy. It is an evolutionary version of energy, because they have evolved and evolved long ago to the path where they are almost leaving physical reality, and their own beliefs dictate that they do not want to experience going into a non-physical energy, because they would have to incorporate no sense of self, no version of ego as most humans perceive it, no version of their own race and own connection, that they will do whatever it means and whatever it takes to connect to that energy forevermore. That experience shows you that no matter how connected or disconnected you are, you will always achieve ascension. There is a fear that is so strong and so great throughout the human collective. This is why ourselves, myself and Treb Bor Yit NE, have spoken of this energy very frequently. We do not want a fear to be there when there is no reason, regardless of what your beliefs are, regardless of what your perspective is. You will ascend. You have already ascended. You are ascending in this moment. When you remember this, that all entities will be exactly where and as they need to be in their own evolution, it takes away the fear of motivating yourself through false actions and false mindsets to be something or someone you are not. Some of you feel angry at certain times. That is acceptable. But so many of you see your anger start bubbling up and force it down. Now you have taken away a most valuable lesson for yourself. When that energy wants to redistribute itself, when you wish to truly correct that energy of why you are getting mad, you must first go through the experience of being mad. Some people express, if I eat a cheeseburger or if I eat a non-vegan food, that I will not ascend because cruelty to the animals. And we understand the purpose of this. We are not saying it is incorrect, but that feeling co-creates an experience with you where every time you think of food that is not within that alignment, you feel ashamed. You anger yourself at others for doing the same. They will land where they need to land in the experience, as will you. Utilize your belief systems for your benefit. Do not need to fight against them. If you utilize those beliefs and flush away the ones that feel resistant or harmful to you, then you will experience the most easy pathway to feeling your fourth density self more so.
I think that is just extremely beautiful, and it really reflects, at least from my point of view, just how unconditionally loving and supportive of a universe we're in, that we are in a universe that really does honor that free will and us co-creating the reality that we want to be in, whether we want to ascend as a being who wants to be a type 1 or experience being a type 2. I think it's wonderful that we're able to experience that. Let's say if someone, I'm going to use myself as an example. Most people know me as the Arcturian Starseed, so I'm kind of outing myself with this, and it's maybe for in the future collective, just in the consciousness of anybody that wants to do this, because there's that concept that it's really hard to jump from one to another. Before I was an Arcturian Starseed, I was a Draconian. And then a part of me, because the consciousness is so large, decided it would be fun to go and wreak havoc on Earth. And so I call them fractalites. It's kind of like a shard of that consciousness came out and went into a human body. But I ended up, having the human experience and falling in love and kind of being taken in, a long story short, with the Arcturian energies, and that kind of became my new home. But I really, feel such great gratitude to the Earth Collective, because they're the ones that kind of turned me into the light worker and the mostly loving being that I am today. I would say, like any other human being, I have my own moments, and I work toward that unconditionally light and loving energy. But I would like for you to share how it is, so that people know. The only reason I'm using this as an example is so that if you're feeling stuck, or you're feeling like you're kind of in a darker place, and you start to shift, what was it I did, or if you want to use another entity as an example, to shift and be able to get into the other world, so to speak? How did I go from being a Draconian to an Arcturian, so that people really know that you're not stuck, you're not just damned forevermore? If you, and likewise, if you want to be light and go dark, or dark and go light, I suspect we actually have experiences where we do both, but we don't always give ourselves access to that. So I think you understand where I'm getting at.
Yes, of course.
At this point.
Yes, of course. In your own experience, being human was the triggering mechanism. You came from a place of deep connection, and although when we say this, it brings question marks to many of your minds. How is the Alpha Draconian energy connected? How are they deeply connected? They are connected to one another. They are connected to themselves. They do not see a quality in the rest of the universe besides their own genetics and their own companionship with one another. But that deep connection was based from the perspective of separation. Plunging fractal consciousness into the Earth Collective, you are creating such a dense energy, such a high spectrum of energy, that you must co-create something different. You must utilize that energy to transmute and transform your overall being. What worked for you specifically in your journey as a Draconian fractal to the concept of Arcturian energy was your own ability to love. In the Earth Collective, you learned a version of love that was not divisive, that was not only from one person to another. You learned a version of love with this entity that encompassed larger energies, creating family members, creating a lineage of friends, creating a connection to yourself more than any other thing. And when you feel the connection as an entity who is birthed in the Earth Collective consciousness, that is where you can truly find the depths of your love and heart. Those of you who understand how many different races look down upon the Earth Collective, there are some of you that feel humans are very special. Some of you feel that Earth is an experiment. All of those things have partial truths, but the one energy is the spectrum of vibration within your own self and your capacity for love, for a third density version, before that shift into fourth density. That is what amazed most entities. That is what co-created that wonder. And in your experience of shifting out of one vibration into a new, it gave you that opportunity. Each one of you can do this in one lifetime. All of you can do it within one moment, if it is your desire, if it is your true energetic shift of feeling and connecting and co-creating with those you love.
Thank you so much. And also, I just have the deepest respect and gratitude and love for all those beings and all the Earth Collective. I feel very gifted for that. So, thank you.
Yes, of course.
Okay. I'm looking through my questions here. Okay, so I heard something very curious the other day. And it was said by a friend. I'm not going to say his name because I don't have his permission, but he said it was coming from other sources too. He said something about the Mayan calendar actually being miscalculated, that it wasn't 2012, it was actually 2016. And of course we know, the Gregorian calendar and all of that also, that could be another thing, although I think 2012, 2016, that's quite a large span of time. But basically what I'm trying to get at is, you've already spoken about the significance of 2012. Was there a significance with 2016 as well that was a real precipice? And do you see, any more linearly speaking, other years that are of a big precipice?
Yes, of course, when you are looking at the Mayan calendar, it was miscalculated in the way that some humans perceive it. 2016 year was the end of that specific Baktun. That was the ending of the overall larger cycle for the Mayan beings. The reason why most entities believe it was not correct is because it ended in that year of 2016 when the Mayans, through their information of the Anunnaki and co-creation, understood it to be a shift of 2012. But the year 2016 is where the shift takes hold upon the second layer of beings. Now, if you are able to follow us through this concept, 2012 was the shift of the vibration of the earth itself into the fourth density consciousness. There was one small layer of those who co-created the fourth density experience more so in that moment than others. Those are those of you earthseeds whose last life it is in this incarnation from that part of the cycle. Those of you who have worked in understanding and expanding, and also a great deal of starseeds who have also opened up their own chakra systems. Those entities felt the great shift in the year of 2012. 2016 is the second wave of consciousness. Those who are higher in vibrational mindset and those who are receptive to expanding and evolving. Those entities were the second wave. The third wave comes in the year that you would call approximately 2021 upon your December solstice. That energy is the third wave. These will be entities who are trying to find truths. Even if they are not connected to themselves, even if they see division, they will start tapping into those energies of fourth density. Then again, you look at the year 2039. That energy represents where more of the collective consciousness will be open to ideals of expansion than not. That is what we would perceive as over 50% marker. Now, in this moment, there are well over 50% of entities upon Earth in that perspective that are desiring more of themselves to be in alignment, having more of themselves being positive vibration instead of negative, and that is why it is sped up the version of co-creations and personal energies for many of you. But those cycles are all parts of the cycles of your Earth collective, the solar system collective, your moon collective, and many of the planetary consciousnesses collectives as they pertain to your co-creation as a planetary collective and as they co-create with other bodies and yourself as a part of a co-creation. So all of you, working through all of your energies, looking into your astrology, seeing all of the precipices of energy that are natural for your cycle, the solstices, and all of the energies that are poured into those, the equinoxes and all of the energy poured into those, your solar eclipses, your new moons, your full moons, all of those energies are different cycles with different precipices. We try to express that if you look at the stock market, you would understand better that at the very peak is when 2012 occurred. The secondary peak that was lower than the first, but also very high compared to all of the rest, was in your year 2016. And all of the energies that co-create, you can see the spikes of the tipping in all of those natural energies, all of your co-created collective consciousness and co-created solar system, collective conscious energies.
Thank you so much, Aridif.
Yes, of course.
Oh man, this is so good. I love this. All
Yes.
right. Okay, so I'm going to shift into, and I know we've already gone over some of this, but I'm going to read a question. I actually spoke to my father before this. He studies a lot of the material, like a lot of the Corey Good material and all the other stuff. He's big on reading, and he's very versed in all of this. So I'm going to go ahead and read a question for you.
Yes,
And
of course.
this is quoting my father, Granville Angel, and he says, quote, "So many of us wait day in and day out for signs that the event, ET disclosure, cabal collapse, and or consciousness raising solar flash is close upon us. But every day the world seems more crazy and negative. Are we really near the event? Do you have a sense of the timeline for the event? This is a major question among light workers. Corey recently said the Cabal, or Illuminati, and Resistance Alliance are deadlocked, and there may be some limited violence to force their surrender."
Yes, first of all, as it pertains to all experiences that you can have with this event, all forward motion must occur within the individual being first. You must disclose yourself to yourself. You must connect yourself to yourself. You must give the information and insight to yourself and then watch it manifest outward. Now, with entities such as Granville, as we know and have co-created with him before, he has already done a great deal of opening, understanding and disclosing within himself, but there are always layers for human consciousness to explore. Exploring the most positive aspects are the parts of your own self that will open yourself to that experience, not specifically looking at your exterior vibration or manifestation of the projection within you to the outside world to change first. That energy, as you are co-creating, will occur within your own self after that energy is let go of. The waiting to see when things will change around you, the wanting others to come in and save you for your own experience can be a detriment, and we are not saying specifically that you are doing this, Granville. We are speaking to all entities within the co-created collective. There are many who are waiting to be saved. There are many of you who so strongly desire the forces of extraterrestrial races, resistances, and those anti-Illuminati entities to come into your experience and to remove them. First, remove them from your own life. Most of you are already versed on how to do this, living off of the grid, utilizing your own electrical means, not needing to be supplied by those entities who own the majority of the world in that financial sense. When you are able to utilize your own food, your own electricity, and your own connection to other entities upon the world, that is when you will truly be free of the Illuminati versions. The Illuminati are only the projections from all of you collectively that have something that needs to be held over you, something that needs to be in your way in order to achieve the things that you need to achieve. Let us use an example. For instance, there is an entity in where we have spoken who says, no matter how far I go, I can never get ahead. No matter what I do, they are there to prevent my growth and acceleration. But the truth is, this entity is living through that system that holds that person down, and we express this to them. We said that you are still utilizing food sources that are from those corporations. You are utilizing banking systems that are connected to those persons. You are utilizing electricity and all of your resources from those energies. And we know and understand there is not much in this world that most of you humans feel you can utilize without going into that system, but there is. There is a great deal of energy that you can co-create for yourself. That is the hard line cut. That is the version of yourself that cuts the cord yourself. We understand, not feasible, necessarily to all of you. So for those of you who it is not feasible to, what is the next step? Focusing on those entities that desire to suppress your energy only gives them more power, more energy. The event that occurs, the energies of the co-creation both with your solar collective consciousness and the solar system collective consciousness are already upon you and will come regardless of what the entities who are perceived as the Illuminati will co-create with you. The more energy that you put into your own version of your life, the specific entities around you, the nature of your own energy around yourself, the more you will drive out the energy of those entities even mattering in your life. Even those of you who shop at Walmarts, even those of you who co-create experiences, getting diesel and gasoline, those of you who go to the bank each day to withdraw your money, all of you can still create without the Illuminati being in your business or surrounding you just by dismissing that their connection process to them. Now we understand, some of you say this is not disconnecting, it is avoidance at its greatest. That perhaps can be true to a perspective or to an understanding, but when you do not focus on the power that they have on you in your life, you cannot feel its effects. There are many entities in this world who are not aware of the Illuminati, and they are living very happy, expansive, co-created lifestyles, full of love and enjoyment with others that know nothing about it or do not want to know nothing about it. Those of you who are armed with that information, choose one category in your life to dismiss that energy from. Financial, food supply, etc. When you choose that one detail in which to disincorporate your perspective of what the Illuminati is to that, you will find yourself in a greater sense of freedom than ever before when it comes to that one thing. Readjusting your belief system can also find you a way to that same freedom. When you look at all of the energies in the co-created collective, finding that version of openness, happiness, and excitedness in your own heart will give you the best opportunity to join a collective in where the Illuminati has never existed, where those entities who mean to suppress you no longer hold power. If all of the entities across the earth quit utilizing the money systems that are given to them, start utilizing, trading, start growing their own foods and utilizing their own electricity, the power that those entities hold would be nil and gone within moments. Thank you for this.
Thank you, Aridif. And
yes.
I'm going to wrap it up with two more questions
yes.
for you. Now, you've already kind of gone into this very well, but I'm going to dig a little deeper just because I know some people watching will be like, well, you know, Aridif, this doesn't really apply to me. I myself or another person I know is going through gang stalking, or, you know, someone I know, my father, for instance, connected to whistleblowers who were killed. There are people who are in MK Ultra programs, and there are also entities that we know have had malevolent entities attached to them. So how do they create a reality where they can really protect themselves from this once and for all? When someone's really stuck very deep, just like how we were talking about that shift, you know, the Earth 1, Earth 2, it's almost like this is on a smaller scale. What can they do to help themselves out of that, especially if they're feeling, you know, we have a friend, for instance, who's had, what is that thing that's called? It gets beamed at them, burns their skin, causes bleeding. Stuff that when you hear it can sound very scary. What can you say to them to help themselves to kind of engage in that belief and really help themselves out of that reality and experience a whole new one? What is going to disengage all of the abuse that these poor sweet souls are doing, because they're not really poor, they're very magnificent creators. What can they do?
Yes, first of all, we will warn you that the answer we give you will not be one that many of you will wish to receive or like, but we express it nonetheless. Out of all of those entities, whether it be gang stalking or friends around you dying or those who are being tortured in one way or another, there is still something from that experience you need. There is still something from the experience of feeling bad, negative, or disempowered that you need in your experience. Much of it has to do with the programming of human consciousness, that there must be a good versus evil, that there must be someone over me in order to outcome my own adversity. Others can be simply when I allow my own self to simply let go of the worry, then all of it can dissipate. There are truly infinite amounts of experiences to be had, and all of them that feel negative are negative because of your perspective about them. Once you release that perspective, you can release the experience itself. And we understand many of you will not agree with this idea. Many of you express mentally in your mind in this moment, why don't you bring your alien ass down here and try to live in this environment and then tell us about changing your thought about the idea? What we can express is that if we were in the same programming that all humans in the collective are right now, even Rob, even Kalina, even those of you who have spent your entire life through spirituality, you are still programmed to a degree. The first thing that happens out of the womb is those entities around you frantically worrying about the baby's health. Concern and fear are all about you. Your mother in great pain, screaming. That vibration is about you. Or father worrying about if you will be okay. The first moment into entering the physical system, you are surrounded and vibrationally intaking fear. As you grow, all of you are very aware of what happens to you. More programming in schools, through relatives, your parents' programming itself. That programming is strong in all of you. We are not saying it will change just by changing your thought, but changing the programming and what it means to you and how deeply it affects you can. We have created the 10-step to belief system process just for that sake alone. It will not work for all of you fully. It will fully work for all of you who implement it over and over and over again. It is a process of retraining both your mental body, emotional body, and your belief systems. Many of you express, I tried this for 6 months, it did not work. You only tried it for 6 months. This is a reincorporation of all of the decades of programming that have been placed within you. You have to reprogram your own self. Entities who are considered blank slates, such as Rob, after alleviating himself from both drug addiction and from depression, was a blank slate, a new vibration never discovered before. He was able to make shifts quickly. He did not know about what a higher dimensional entity and co-creation of higher fractalized consciousness, integration, or even density was. So by that expression, he was an open and clean slate. Be a clean slate. With the 10-step process, it will teach you to be a blank slate, or better yet, to rewrite the slate in the most positive and least resistant fashion. We thank you for this.
That is beautiful. Thank you, Aridif.
Yes.
And so final questions. Speaking of when you said bringing your alien asses down here, we can't talk about the topic of the event without bringing in the topic of not just ET disclosure, but how we're going to have you guys really coming down here, or us going there, however you want to put it, actual physical ET interactions. And I know, knowing you, you'll probably get into the astral stuff too. That's very important. But let's really dive deeply into the topic of ET disclosure and what it is we as the Earth Collective need to do to hone in on that and really have that true disclosure, be it physical and through the internal technology, as you call it. Please expand upon that for us. Thank you, Ardif.
Yes, thank you also. First of all, we express the same concept and idea, reiterated into a different verbal iteration, as we have within all of this evening. Disclosure first starts within yourself. Take yourself and all of your friends who are excited out to create the mechanism that you call CE5s. Bring yourself closer to the vibration of those that are extraterrestrial in nature. Physically, you are allowed to co-create that experience. Taking yourself out to do the CE5 brings those entities into your physical proximity and share a co-creative moment. What is it about what most humans call the law of attraction that works? If you desire to be something, you must put yourself fully in that vibration. Put your time and energy of excitement into that co-creation. Get around the proximity. There are many hybrids that humans are aware of that walk the earth in this moment. Spend time with them. Spend time learning about them, who they are, what they are. Feel their physical presence when they are within your city limits, or even travel to see them. Co-create at that very base mark. If you are able to do that and plunge yourself deeply into that experience, physical contact can occur. Those of you who have tried this and it does not work, then work in your higher dimensional self. Humans are a race that are multi-dimensional in nature. All beings have this to a certain degree, but humans have the widest spectrum within the majority of the galaxy, and it is due to all of the DNA that was placed within you. When you are sleeping, you are astral projecting. You are sending your consciousness outside of your physical body in order to create with other beings. You are also creating versions on the third layer of your dream state. In the template level of creation, you are between the barrier of 6 density and 7 density. You are at the level that is between the last place of your physical existence to non-physical. You are in that barrier and membrane so deeply, you are literally creating physical energy around you in your highest dimensional self. Create there. Co-create there. Create a race of beings who can physically come down to see you. Then you will place it in physical reality. Then you can co-create upon that level. But any of these energies start with knowing yourself truly and deeply. Allowing yourself to be yourself truly and deeply. Not judging yourself as you go through the experience. Not saying, I must have disclosure this way. And that is where the majority of you are held up. I must have the President of the United States come onto television and admit all of the wrong things that they have held, all of the powers they have held over our heads. I must have military people come and express their own contact. You are only perceiving it in that one way. You are only expecting one outcome. When you do this, all of the other possibilities and probabilities are removed. We go back to the observer effect in the science that all of you call, or all of you perceive as the smallest universe, the micro-universe, the atomic universe. When you go into that observer effect, you see how consciousness works. The observer effect states that the smallest part of the atom goes forward, and that when the human consciousness is there, there is one mark, one energy. But when they are not there, there are probabilities, several, of places where this energy lands, even if only being fired once. there are several probabilities. What does this mean to you? The human consciousness is aligned with one potential. That energy of the universe is aligned with several potentials. When you believe that your own connection to disclosure can only come in one way, you are interacting with that energy. You are interacting so strongly, you will only ever see one dot on your piece of paper, instead of the infinite probabilities that can occur. We wish to express to all of you it is the greatest pleasure to co-create with you. And when you co-create with us, you are choosing a version of this reality where we are able to co-create with you. Know that placing that same excitement towards all other things can give you a possibility and probability of creating that experience also. We wish to express to you not only that you are loved, but we love you also. We bid you adieu for this evening.
Thank you so much, Ardif. We love you too. I love you and you are loved. Thank you so much again for being here and diving so deeply into this topic. We very much appreciate it.
Yes, and thank you also, Kalina, for the co-creation. You are loved.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Adieu.
Adieu.
Hey everybody, what a wonderful channeling Aridif did. He's always amazing. We want to thank all of you guys so much for your support. We love you, and thank you for being a part of this Patreon journey with us. Kalina and I love you with all of our hearts, and we just want to let you know that your energy, sharing with us and giving us this flow of energy that's money and abundance in order for us to do more channeling has really helped us, not just with the Patreon exclusive content, but being able to get free information out to other people at a larger and faster pace. And we thank you guys all so much for this. We love you guys, and we'll see you at the next channeling of the Patreon exclusive content.